We are looking at two different things today. The first one is rounding. What does it mean to round a number? Why do we round numbers and when do we round numbers? That's what? Yeah, but why do we do it? Luke? We do it because sometimes close is good enough. You know, like you go to the store and you buy yourself a brand new pair of whatever sneakers are popular these days, and your friend says, hey, those are cool, how much did they cost? You're probably not going to tell them it cost $53.22. You'll say, it cost me $50. They don't need to know the exact price, you can just give them some sort of a rounded number. And that works a lot of times, you don't want to bog people down with a whole bunch of unneeded information there, so we do rounding that. And now here's how the whole rounding game works. Let's write this number down here. 523 rounded to the nearest 100. When you're rounding to the nearest 100, what you're doing is you are taking away a whole bunch of choices with the smaller digits that you don't need. And the way to think about it is, think about if you're rounding to the nearest 100, think about your only choices are counting by hundreds. In other words, 523, if you count by 100, you get 500, 600, 700. Well, if you have a number line that goes on it, which 100 is 523 closer to if you're going to put a dot on that line, Matthew?
500.
Yeah, 523 would come somewhere right about here, much closer to 500 than it is 600. What's a good way to know when you're rounding to the nearest 100? What digit is the most important when you're rounding to the nearest 100? It's the next digit over, because if that number is 5, if this was 550, then it would be exactly in the middle. And then we've always said if it's exactly in the middle, you round up, so we round up to 600. But it's less than 5, so we know for sure it's closer to 500. What if I was rounding this same number to the nearest 10? Well, if you're counting by tens, what numbers would you count by? Well, instead of counting by hundreds, 500, 600, 700, you could have 500, 510, 520, 530, 540, and all those. Now we're using a whole different set of numbers. Here's 500, 510, 520, 530, 540. 523 is closest to which one of these choices when I count by 10? Jacob, what were they?
520.
Right, because 523 would be right about right here. What number tells you that? Well, since I'm rounding the tens, the next digit over. If this is a 3, it's less than 5, so you know it's going to be closer to the 520 than it is the 530. A couple more maybe. What if I have 7,492? Rounded to the nearest 1,000, what would that be? To the nearest 1,000. So your choices are either 7,000 or 8,000 because we're counting by thousands. Joseph?
7,000.
7,000. What about rounded to the nearest 100? What would that be? To the nearest 100, what would that be? Connor?
500.
Yeah, but you got to keep the 7.
7,000.
7,500, yep, exactly. What about rounded to the nearest 10? What would it be? Rounded to the nearest 10. Again, you got to keep these numbers to the left. You can't get rid of them. The nearest 10, Caleb, is?
7,500.
All your choices are this: 7,490 or 7,400. Oh, 7,500. Sorry, it would be that. That's counting by tens. And which one is it closer to? 92. If you're doing a number line, it'd be closer to this than it would be to that. So it would be 7,490. You kind of see that? How about another one? What would 87 rounded to the nearest 10 be? To the nearest 10. Lauren? 90. What would 420 rounded to the nearest 10 be? Luke?
420.
Oh, look at that. What about 596 rounded to the nearest 10? Rounded to the nearest 10. Maya?
600.
Exactly, 600. Why did it all change? Because you're counting by tens, so you go 590, and then the next 10 would be 600. It's at 96, so it's going to be bigger than half over here, so 600 here is. Okay, now take out another blank piece of paper. And on top of that one,